Good morning. Welcome to 10 at the Table. I'm Christy. I'm a wife, a mom of 8, home educator for 24 years. And this channel is for all things motherhood. And today we are going to chat about gentle parenting and what a disservice we are doing to our kids by not instilling some rules and consequences and helping them to understand that we have choices, but those choices have consequences, whether good or bad. And I think that we're seeing the consequences of the gentle parenting in our schools, in our communities, and what's going on in California right now. And I think it's so important for us to have to be the bad guy sometimes. And as a mom, that's really hard. And it's time consuming and it takes effort. And sometimes it can be really, really exhausting, especially if you have a very strong-willed child who likes to push boundaries and is constantly just pushing buttons and seeing how far they can get. But I think that there's nothing more rewarding than to send our kids into adulthood realizing what good people they are, and that you're not going to have to worry about them making bad choices or falling in with the wrong crowd. And that's not to say that they're not going to make mistakes or that they're not going to do some stupid stuff while they're off at college or get influenced by someone who they probably shouldn't. But I certainly think that we minimize the risk of them doing that if they have been raised to know that there will be consequences to their actions, and to expect that if they make a bad choice. If we never say no to them, if there's never consequences for bad behavior or bad choices, or just a follow through on a rule that we've put in place, whatever that is, curfew. You need to be home at a certain time. And if you're not home at that certain time, then you lose the privilege to go and do something the next time. Submitting homework on time. If you're in a public school and you fall behind and you don't submit your schoolwork on time, the consequences for that is you're not going to be eligible for your sport. So it starts when they're little, though. When you say no, you mean no. And you help them to understand that you're not saying no or putting rules into place because you want to be mean. That you're trying to protect them, you're trying to teach them, and you're trying to help them understand that doing the right thing also has consequences, and that the benefits of doing the right thing far outweigh the consequences of doing the wrong thing. And we don't want our kids to do the right thing because they're afraid of us or out of fear of the consequences. It might start that way when they're little, but ultimately we want our kids to do the right thing for the sake of doing the right thing, because it's morally and ethically the right thing. And we want them to have a conscience that is well formed, that they're able to have some foresight, to see the consequences of their actions before they actually do them, or at least have some inkling that what they're doing is a bad choice and I probably shouldn't do that. Not only because it could lead to bad consequences, but because it's just the wrong thing to do. And so if we form their consciences well when they're little, then it's just fine-tuning and tweaking as they get older. And it's with bigger stuff. And if I can't trust you with little things, then I'm certainly not going to trust you with big things like a car or a longer curfew or going certain places or hanging out with certain people. If I can't trust you to make good choices with little things, then we have some trust issues and we've got to work on that. So it doesn't stop, I don't think, ever until they're really gone and adults. Like, you don't stop just because they get in high school and you're like, okay, well, they should be able to make good choices. No, we have to help them navigate the bigger choices and help them to understand that if I say no about something, it's probably because I, as your parent, don't feel that this is a good situation for you to be in, or that there's people that I don't know, or that you're putting yourself in a situation that could end up to be not safe. So it's from a love and protective standpoint that we're coming from, and we have to help them understand that, because they're not always going to see things as we see them. Their brains are not formed. They're not understanding, well, everybody else gets to do it. Why aren't you going to let me do it? We've had a couple of those situations recently in our house, and I can't feel bad about it. I have to lay down the rule, give the answer to the question, and not look back. And have a good reason. I can't just say, no, you're not doing this, or no, you're not going there because I say so. That's not a good enough reason. You have to have conversations and really be willing to talk to your kids and talk through the things that make you uncomfortable about a situation, or help them to understand that, no, you've been out late 1 or 2 times already this week. You've got responsibilities to your schoolwork, your job, your family, and no, your sleep is important, and you've done enough. Help them to understand that, and also don't make what they have to do instead of what they want to do a miserable experience either. So if it's Sunday and it's family day and you're having family dinner at a certain time and they want to be out hanging out with their friends instead, it's, no, today's family time. Today's the day that you're going to be with us. You're not hanging out with your friends. And then make that experience equally fun to what they wanted to do. So it's a trade-off, it's a balancing act, and it's a lot of communication. And I am not gonna lie, some days are flat freaking exhausting. Some days it's gonna be a battle. They're not gonna understand, they're not gonna like it, they're not going to hear you or your reasoning. And so it's just really important to continue the conversations, keep those lines of communication open, and help them to understand that the reasons behind why you're saying no are coming from a place of love, and that God has given you to me. I am your parent. I have had a long life. I understand these things, and I have a view of things that maybe you don't understand, that you certainly don't see at this moment, but that you have to trust me, that I have your best interest in mind. And it may not be the answer you wanted to hear, but this is what we're doing, and don't look back. Don't change your mind. Don't be wishy-washy about it. And I think that's such an important part of parenting, is that our yes means yes and our no means no, so that they're comfortable with that as they grow up. There are gonna be times when they are adults that, you know, they have to follow the rules. They have to do certain things in their job. They have to be responsible for other human beings, or, you know, important things, a lot of money or whatever it is. And so helping them to be comfortable with boundaries and parameters, and other people giving direction and them taking direction, and understanding that there's a reason behind it. And if there's not a good reason behind it, having the confidence to ask the questions and have a further conversation about it. And I haven't always been great about that, about continuing the conversation, or allowing them to ask further questions. And so that's been something that I've had to work on in my parenting years. But I hope that my kids will always feel comfortable with at least having the conversations. And if, you know, if the circumstances are something that they feel really strongly about, that they're able to at least ask the questions, and we can have some kind of dialogue about that. So I think that instilling the understanding of boundaries and choices having consequences is super important, and it's something that I think we've kind of lost and gotten away from as a society. And I think probably the main reason is because it's hard. It can be really exhausting to continue, but the more persistent and consistent you are about setting those boundaries, and there being consequences to actions, the more productive and healthy and just trustworthy that your kids are going to be as they get older. They will understand that their choices are not without consequence, good or bad. And they have to understand that good choices have good consequences too, that it's not just a negative thing all the time. So I hope this helps in some capacity. Stay strong, persevere. I know when they're little, it can be really daunting some days to just continue to persevere in the things that they like to push buttons and boundaries on. So just stay consistent. That's the biggest thing, is don't let down what you feel as parent just because it gets hard. So like and subscribe to the channel. Shoot me any questions you might have. I don't know it all. I'm still figuring it out, even with as many kids as I have. They're all different, and every day is a new day. So thanks for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow.